welcome to another video. Well, we're going to talk about gang stalking. We're going to talk about all the things targets deal with. Sorry guys, I've been busy. I'm trying to get my top dash position back. When I took the time off for the kidney stone, I lost that. And they just don't let you get back out there and work. And unless it's really busy, they won't even let you on. And you have to get, I think it was like 100 deliveries in a month. And sometimes they won't even let you out there, maybe for an hour during the dinner rush or something. And, I'm over halfway there, but, well, pray for me. And also for the demoralization. I've been dealing with some things that I would consider it demonic. So I think a lot of targets are dealing with that. I think that, the manipulation and the oppression can get pretty heavy for anyone who's a believer. But I think targeted individuals deal with a little bit more, so I appreciate your guys' prayers. And, the mechanism is the destroyer, okay? When you're dealing with gang stalking, I've talked about that before, you're dealing with a methodology that is designed to infiltrate the psyche of the victim. It's designed to manipulate and mold them, to reprogram them, and destroy them. Okay, and it's there to discredit the individual. It has so many different functions. Okay, the intention is malevolent. It is a death by 1,000 cuts, and I've talked about that before. That targets get attacked from so many different angles that it's damn demoralizing. Not only that, it's unbelievable. Okay, that's the ace in the hole for people who persecute targeted individuals, the perps. Oh, it's just schizophrenia. It's designed that way. Okay, it's designed to sensitize people. It's designed to reprogram them. And as a result, people experience propositional tyranny. It happens to all targets. They start reading into things, and some more than others. I'm not going to give any examples. You guys know what I'm talking about. But that's part of the mechanism. Okay, that's part of the gang stalking menagerie, is that people look crazy. No matter if they're making it up or not. No matter if they're reading into it, if they think the accident scenes were set up for them, or every helicopter is a gang stalker, or every person with one headlight is after them, or a red car or a red shirt or whatever. Okay, and I'm not saying that can't happen, by the way. I'm just saying that even if you had evidence, even if you had undeniable evidence, and I've seen a couple of videos, in fact I was watching some today, that were undeniable. People were harassing this guy. Okay, it's the best gang stalking evidence I've seen. The individual believes in the reptilian theory, and says, because of that, I'm just going to leave the name out. But and I can see why people believe it. Okay, that's everybody's on a journey, but I don't want you guys to start believing that stuff. I look at this from the biblical angle. If you're going to apply this in a spiritual way, look at it, in that sense. I've done videos about that. But, it is a mechanism, and it is designed to make people look crazy. And unfortunately, that does happen. That's part of it. The trauma-based associations can cause flashbacks. People are anticipating the next attack. They're ruminating on this stuff. They're marinating in an environment that is toxic. And it has a lot of effects, and I've talked about that before. You want to watch your diet, you want to try to exercise, you want to try to take control of your environment in the sense that you are focusing on things that you have control over. Because if you're playing whack-a-mole and trying to control things or take care of problems that the gang stalkers have in their court, you're going to be real frustrated. Okay, and that might involve some things that are oppressing you. It might involve your work environment. It might involve, your apartment complex or whatever, the situation involving your mail, or a lot of other things can come into play. You gotta let that stuff go. Okay? I mean, you can go on a wild goose chase if you want. I'm not saying you want to make it easy, but I'm just saying that you don't want to focus on it, because that's what they want. They want you in that place where you're pulling your hair out, you're going crazy, you're trying to figure out how to solve all these problems. Nothing seems fair. And that's when they start, bringing in, if you're a Christian, by the way, that's when they're going to start bringing God into this whole thing. It's like, why is he doing it? How's that working out for you? And so on and so forth. They'll turn into an issue of faith. God can do whatever he wants. And he is not ordaining anything, in my opinion. He is working things out according to the free moral agency of both men and angels. And, the whole idea of living by faith is that God is not intervening. Okay, there's not always a miracle around every corner. You just have to keep going in spite of what it looks like, and that's really biblical. Okay, like I've mentioned before in Psalm 73, the servant of the Lord's heart almost fainted when he saw the prosperity of the wicked. Okay, and it goes on for a long time. Okay, it's not just, oh, look, that person, got away with whatever, and, they went out and had a good weekend or whatever. Okay. This involves people living their lives in a way that it appears there's no justice. It appears that there is no God, and you have to believe it, right? You have to believe it, and you have to accept it by faith. You're not going to see it. Okay. You're not going to see a miracle or a lightning bolt hit, one of the perps or somebody who's harassing. Every now and again, something might happen. I've heard people talk about that. But, by and large, you're going to have to walk, put one foot in front of the other by faith, and it's going to look like they're getting away with it. Okay, the world is like that. The world is under the tyranny of the kingdom of darkness right now. They are controlling things, okay? And like I said, it involves a type of temptation. It involves a menagerie that involves decades of this stuff. People may live their whole life, and I've seen it. I've watched it. Almost 100 years. I mean, I haven't been alive to watch the whole thing, but I've known them for several decades. They have denied the truth. They have walked in rebellion and in hostility to God, and they didn't seem to have any ill effects. They didn't have any health problems. They didn't have any financial problems. I've seen perps do that. I've talked about it before. Some of the people that were involved in my early stages of gangstalking are living in the community that I live in now. And every now and again, I'll see them, and they seem to be doing okay. They don't have any health problems. They've got families and houses and all that stuff. It's like, oh, well. But is that inconsistent? No, that's communicated in the Bible. But all these things come together, and it's very demoralizing. Okay, and I can see why a lot of targets are manipulated. Okay, and that goes into that sense of injustice that builds up in the target, and they're like, man, you know what? I'm tired of getting pushed around. I'm just going to take care of this thing myself. It's liberty or death, right? Or whatever. And I've talked about that's not a solution. Okay, they want that. They want to manipulate you. And not only that, I mean, you think it's bad now. Try being a targeted individual in a mental hospital or, a prison or something, or down at jail. It's not good. Your options are limited right now. You get in a place where people have control over all that stuff, man, it's not good. But as a targeted individual, you have to modify your expectations. That's one of the biggest ways that we are manipulated. Okay. And I've talked about that before. A lot of people think their stalking is over. I think they decided to leave me alone. Well, okay, great. I hope you're right. But more than likely, they're getting your expectations up, and you were basically in that place where you were getting used to it. Okay, right, and it wasn't working anymore because a lot of targets will do that. Okay, you're anticipating the attacks. You're following protocols. You're not reacting. It doesn't have the effect. Okay, the emotional manipulation and psychological manipulation just isn't there. It's not working the way they want it to. Okay, especially if you're one of those resilient targets who've been playing this game for a long time. And I've talked about the fact that you'll get comments every now and again, right? I've mentioned the comment about shell shock. Oh, you'd be freaking out, but you're just in shell shock or whatever. They don't know how to grasp the idea that God is helping you out, or that you just aren't going crazy for all the intense stuff that you're dealing with. Or the other comment, which is kind of what I was trying to get to, is, well, it's just the Hawthorne effect. I've had strangers just say that to me. Yeah, you're just experiencing that. It's the Hawthorne effect. You just know what's going on. We have to shake you up a little bit. It's like, what? Who the hell are you? Whatever. And the targets will deal with that. There's a lot of little themes that go into your gang stalking. It's not You can't be reading into something like that. Why would a stranger walk up to you and say something like that, right? Is that something that people talk about all the time? When's the last time you've seen someone in a conversation about the Hawthorne effect, right? No, it's ridiculous. But whatever. I don't worry about accusations, but it's like that. Because why? Because you're getting used to it, right? So what do? They'll change the strategy. A lot of people ask me that in the comments. What does it mean when they change the intensity of the stalking? Why do they back off? Why do they change it? That's why. Because they want max emotional manipulation. They want to catch you off guard. They want you to get your expectations up, or they want you to start anticipating things, or they want you to get into a place where you can't hope anymore. You're afraid, oh, it always goes bad. It's always bad. And you can't. You can't let that happen. You can't give into that type of manipulation. It's like a roller coaster. Just enjoy it. That's what I always say. Oh, yeehaw. It's a fun one. I wonder how long this is going to last. Days, weeks, hours? Yippee! It's fun because they want you to be pessimistic, right? All right. A lot of times you'll deal with infiltrators or whatever, the little flesh puppets, and oh, what are you going to be doing next weekend? Oh, I don't know, but hopefully it'll be fun. Yeah, I have a great expectation that good things are going to happen, and whatever, because they want you to be pessimistic. They want you to have that negative attitude. They want you to be walking around with your head down, anticipating all these bad things, when the truth is you got a lot of things to look forward to. Okay, yes, you're going to be dealing with stalking. Yeah, there's going to be harassment and so on and so forth. But you know what? If you're a Christian, you can hope and know that God is going to work these things out for your best. Okay? It might not be fun. It might not feel good. You might get angry. You're more than likely going to be frustrated. But you're going to grow, okay? And that's not always a fun process. The people out there that are running around, whistling Dixie, and they don't have a problem or whatever, and they're looking at you like you're nuts, they are not growing, okay? Yeah, they seem to be happy. They're having fun. The people that are involved in the flesh puppet menagerie, nothing is happening to them. Seems like they're getting away with it, but you know what? They're not changing. They're not growing. The delusion that they're under, which is different than the one that is given to target individuals, is that they're going to get away with this stuff. The delusion that they're under is that they made the right choice. Okay, but that they're going to change their mind. Okay, it is a delusion. It's the calm before the storm. That's all it is. Whistling through the graveyard, and you got to remember that. Okay, people are going to have to answer to God. We're going to have to answer to God. I'm going to have to. You're going to have to. They are going to have to answer and be held accountable for their actions. Okay? Everybody's going to be judged. The only question is, do you have access to the atoning work of Christ through faith? That's it. And we talked about that before, that if people are unrepentant gangstalkers, they're not. Okay? That's unfortunate. It's not that you need it. It's not that you're happy that they're going to be judged or whatever, but they deserve it. Okay, if they don't accept God's gracious offer or forgiveness and reconciliation, then that's what they wanted. Okay, and not only that, in the meantime, I've talked about the fact that targets are like a little worm on a hook. Well, the kingdom of darkness is going to use this whole scenario to test you and tempt you, and to condemn them because they're involving themselves in something that is basically, it's very similar to what they're going to be dealing with, okay? As a targeted individual, you're asking them for mercy, and they're not giving it to you. And everybody changes their mind. And when they ask for that, well, they're going to get the same answer that they gave you. Gang stalking is covert murder, okay? It's serious stuff. Okay, targets are dealing with a lot. They're dealing with isolation, character assassination, rumors, slander campaigns, humiliation, street theater. They're dealing with workplace harassment. They're dealing with neighborhood harassment. They're dealing with noise campaigns. They're dealing with anxiety, depression, paranoia, frustration, anger, despair. They're being reprogrammed. It's a tag team scenario. Okay, you're being ganged up on. That's why they call it gang stalking. You're dealing with labels, targets are put in that place of a scapegoat. They're dealing with perceived ineptitude. They're called schizo. They might be accused of selling drugs or being an antisocial person. They might even be accused of being cursed by God. I've heard that one. There's a lot of little games getting back to the mechanism as the destroyer. They want you to process information in a self-centered way. Okay, targets are always accused of having a persecutory delusion, right? Or being self-centered. Oh, you target an individual, it's like the whole universe revolves around you. Well, that's what they want. Okay, this whole thing is designed that way. They want targets looking for this stuff. They want them reading into things. They want them processing information that way, listening to all the conversations around them, looking at people, waiting for something, right? Waiting for that thing that they've been sensitized to happen, and hoping that you're going to read into it, or you're going to make a mistake, or get aggressive and attack somebody who doesn't even know what the hell's going on, and then that you'll believe that you're crazy, or that other people will believe you're crazy. That's what they want. Pay attention to the accusations that are coming at you in the sense that you are categorizing these things according to the mechanism you are dealing with. Okay, you're looking for red flags, right? If someone is accusing you of being mentally ill, but they're being unsympathetic and abrasive, that's obviously contradictive. Okay, they're lying. Okay, if you believe that somebody's mentally ill and they're experiencing delusions because they're sick, you're not going to be cruel to them, right? Obviously. Okay, pay attention to those types of things, right? And when somebody does accuse you, just don't react in the sense that you become emotional, because that's what they want. They do. That's part of this. A lot of people will talk about loosh, right? Or the spiritual vampires or whatever. Who knows? Okay, it does seem like that, but on a sense where everybody will agree, it is used for manipulation, because unless they can get you emotional, they can't manipulate you. They can't control the hormones and the chemicals in your body. And I've talked about that before. You're being bathed in toxic chemicals when you're reacting to this stuff. Okay, you have to consider the source. You have to know the plan of the gangstalkers. You have to let a lot of stuff go, right? That's part of being a targeted individual. You got to be willing to deal with the harassment. You can't expect your next job to be harassment free. If you're a targeted individual and you've been chased from one job to the other, when you get to the next job, get ready. Don't anticipate it in the sense that it's going to drive you crazy, right? That's part of the sensitization process, but just deal with it, right? And turn it into your experiment, right? How far are they going to go to get a reaction? What are they going to do if I don't do anything? All right. What if I don't react? What if I don't even, if I completely pretend like I'm not noticing this stuff, where's this going to go? Do your own, little study. Turn them into the guinea pigs, because they're the ones that are going to have to do all the work anyway, and it's going to be for nothing if you do this right. Your job as a targeted individual is to make this as unproductive and insignificant as you possibly can. Okay. They want to sensitize you. They want to reprogram you. They want to get you into this place where they can trigger you, right? You're conditioned, and they can just play with you in broad daylight in front of everybody, right? Oh, look, they're crazy. I didn't say anything. I wasn't doing anything to you. You're overreacting. You're mentally ill. You're crazy, right? Well, what do you mean you're a targeted individual? That's crazy. You don't want to do that. Okay, you never want to use that as a way to explain what's happening. That just opens up the door for them to harass you. You don't even know what they're talking about, right? If they've got to go out of their way to harass you, if they can't trigger you with all these mechanisms that they use, well, it's not going to work, okay? They're going to have to be obvious. They want to harass you in front of people who don't know anything about this, and they're going to believe you're crazy, right, if you react. That's what they want. Not only are you aware of what they're trying to do, you're aware of the techniques, the manipulation, the motive, right? You're aware of the science around this, but you are willing to deal with the tyranny, okay? They want you to panic. They want you to try to control everything, to freak out, to pull your hair out, to get anxious, to try to stand up for yourself in a way that makes you look crazy. right? To get stressed out. The last thing they want to deal with is someone who's willing to accept this, okay? Who's going to let these things go. They don't want that. That doesn't fit into their equation. I'm telling you that right now. Yeah, you might move into the stages of demoralization, but there's no getting out of that. Okay, I've talked about that before. They come in aggressive. They come in hot. They want targets to freak out. A lot of people will ask me, what do they want? Do they want you to kill yourself? They want you to go to jail? What's the end game on this? They want a lot of things, okay? But ultimately, they want you to be in a place where they can control you, where they can discredit you, where they can gaslight you. But if you don't give in to this mechanism, this destroyer, there's nothing they can do to you, okay? Yeah, you're human. There's going to be effects, but that's not what they want, okay? And Gangstalking is a destroyer, but it is destroying them more than it is destroying you, and you have to know that. Focus on the things you have control over. Remember that you have the upper hand. These attacks on you are unjustified. Don't believe the manufactured justification that goes along with this. That's another problem, okay? They have no right to be doing this to you. It's negligible. You're not an aggressor, okay? That's why you have the upper hand. You just have to mind your own business and not react. They want to hijack your emotions. They want to control you. And this requires your participation. I've said that before, okay? Don't believe their lies. Don't react. Focus on the things you have control over. And remember, they want you to become emotional, right? Without that, they cannot control you at all. Well, hopefully this video has helped someone out. I'd like to ask again for prayer. We always need that. This is way over our heads. And I pray for you guys daily, multiple times a day, because this isn't easy. Okay, life isn't easy, let alone individuals who are dealing with persecution. Okay. I'd like to thank everyone for watching. I'd like to thank everybody who helps support me and the channel. The link is always in the description. God bless. Be good to yourselves. Be safe.